Welcome to NFL Nexus. We've got to talk about the news that's absolutely rocked the league, the stunning departure of head coach Mike Tomlin from the Pittsburgh Steelers. After 19 years, a coaching titan has just walked away, and the story of why he left, well, it's as complex as any game he ever coached. Before we get into all the details, if you like deep dives like this, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It really helps the channel and tells us you want more explainers on the stories that are shaking up the league. I mean, look at that. It's just a few words, but man, the weight behind them is incredible. 19 years, nearly 2 full decades, the Mike Tomlin era in Pittsburgh is done. To really put that into perspective, there's a whole generation of Steelers fans out there who have never known another coach on that sideline. He wasn't just the coach. He was a constant, a symbol of stability for one of the most stable franchises in all of sports. In today's NFL, where coaches are lucky to last 4 years, he was the guy who just never left. 19 years. Just let that number sink in for a second. In the modern NFL, that's basically an eternity. I mean, since Tomlin was hired way back in 2007, think about it. We've had 4 different presidents, video game consoles have gone from the PlayStation 3 all the way to the PS5, and every single other team in the league has changed their head coach at least once, most of them many, many times over. That kind of stability was just part of the Steelers' identity. But, as we're about to find out, that big impressive number only tells one part of a much, much more complicated story. Okay, so here's the thing. The big story isn't just that a future Hall of Fame coach walked away from a top-tier job. I mean, that happens eventually, right? No, the real story, the one we need to unpack here, is why. This wasn't a simple retirement, and it wasn't a firing because the team was bad. It was a choice, a decision he made that was driven by a whole set of circumstances that have been bubbling just under the surface for years. And it all started with a feeling. Look, when the news first broke, it seemed to come out of nowhere, right? A total shocker for a lot of people. But according to a really detailed report from veteran reporter Josina Anderson, this was anything but a snap decision. Her sources inside the league painted a picture of a coach who had been thinking about this for a long time, way before the Steelers' season ended in that final playoff game. This wasn't some knee-jerk reaction to one loss. The evidence shows it was a conclusion he came to over a long, tough period. And this quote right here, this is the key. This changes the whole narrative. He was thinking about this before the season even started. That one fact tells you that this wasn't about one bad playoff game or one frustrating season. No way. This points to something much, much deeper. A fundamental problem that had been festering for a long time. So what was it? And there it is. That's the core of it all. According to Anderson's report, this wasn't about him wanting a new challenge or ownership wanting a new voice. The real problem was a deeply personal feeling of not being appreciated. Now, of course, it wasn't everyone, but it was those loud contingents around the city, the vocal parts of the fan base, the voices on sports radio, who were actively calling for him to be fired. Think about that. After almost 2 decades of never having a losing season, which is just an incredible achievement, that constant drumbeat of negativity started to wear him down. The report says he just couldn't shut out that specific noise. And at the end of the day, feeling undervalued by the city he coached for was a huge reason he decided to walk. And this wasn't something that just popped up overnight. The report says this feeling was, quote, building gradually for the last 3 years. You can almost see it on this timeline, right? It's like a slow burn. It wasn't one bad year that ruined the relationship. It started kind of small around year 16 when you saw the first little cracks. By year 17, the idea of leaving was apparently a much more serious thought. And then finally, in year 19, it all just hit a breaking point. It was the slow fraying of a foundational relationship between a legendary coach and his city. So you have to ask, right? Where does this powerful feeling of being unappreciated come from? How does a coach with a Hall of Fame resume, who literally never has a losing season, end up feeling like he's being pushed out by the fans? Well, like it so often does in the NFL, the answer isn't about the regular season. It's about what happens in January. It's all about how the team performs when the lights are the brightest and a championship is on the line. Yeah, this chart right here is pretty brutal. And for a franchise like the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that practically defines itself by its 6 Lombardi trophies, this is just not going to fly. 7 straight playoff losses is bad enough, but sources say a lot of those were just embarrassing. Blowouts, getting upset by teams they should have beaten, you name it. For a fan base that's used to greatness, this was just tough to watch year after year. The NFL is a what have you done for me lately league, and lately, in the playoffs, the answer for the Steelers was nothing good. That frustration became the fuel for a massive fire. And that frustration, Oh, it didn't just stay on Twitter or in group chats. No, it spilled out into the open. It became this loud, very public, and pretty organized demand for huge changes. A big part of the fan base decided that the regular season consistency didn't matter if it didn't lead to playoff wins. They wanted a new direction, a new voice, and a new result. And that pressure started a domino effect that honestly changed everything. It all kind of came to a head with Matt Canada, their offensive coordinator. As the offense struggled, all that built-up frustration found a single target. You could hear the Fire Canada chants at the home games, plain as day. The pressure was nonstop. And then something happened that basically never happens in Pittsburgh. The team caved. They fired Canada mid-season, something totally out of character for that organization. And that move, while maybe the right football decision, set a powerful precedent. The fans learned a crucial lesson. If they yell loud enough for long enough, they can actually force the team to make a move. They got what they wanted, and in the process, they realized just how much power their collective voice really had. So when Tomlin finally did leave, the shockwaves went way beyond Pittsburgh. His exit sparked conversations all across the league. But what's really fascinating is how differently people saw it. You had the fans in the city with one take, and then you had his peers, other coaches, players around the league, with a completely different one. It was like they were talking about two totally different events. For a lot of Steelers fans, the lesson here was pretty simple, and maybe a little scary, depending on how you look at it. The lesson was, if we make enough noise, we get what we want. They got an offensive coordinator fired mid-season, which never happens there. And now the head coach, who felt unappreciated by their calls for his job, is gone too. From their point of view, they learned that they can make their voices so loud that it directly leads to massive franchise-altering decisions. But outside of Pittsburgh, totally different story. His fellow coaches were just floored. I mean, listen to what DeMeco Ryans, the Texans' head coach, had to say. He was just shocked, and he has more respect for Tomlin than almost any other coach. And notice that last part, glad he was able to go on his terms. That tells you everything. From a coach's perspective, losing a guy like Tomlin isn't a win. It's a huge loss for the franchise, and they're just glad he didn't have to suffer the embarrassment of getting fired. And this really breaks it down, doesn't it? You've got two completely opposite ways of looking at the exact same event. The fans see a win for accountability. We finally got change. They see years of coming up short in the playoffs, and they demanded something new. But his peers, they see a legend leaving, a stable leader in a crazy profession. They see just how hard this job is, and they're just happy he could walk away with his head held high. It really makes you wonder who's right. I mean, maybe both are, in their own way. So, a massive chapter in Steelers history is over. But a new, and honestly a pretty uncertain one, is just beginning. Mike Tomlin is gone, the fans who wanted change got their wish, but this creates a whole new and very challenging reality in Pittsburgh, and it's a huge test for whoever is brave enough to step into those shoes. Okay, so whoever gets this job next, wow, they are walking into a totally different world than the one Tomlin stepped into 19 years ago. The job description has completely changed. First off, the standards are sky high, and you have to meet them immediately. The fans don't just want winning seasons, they want Super Bowls, and they have zero patience. Second, and this might be the biggest one, you have to manage a fan base that now knows it has power. They know they can get you fired. Third, you got to win in the playoffs, and you got to do it fast. The grace period will be basically non-existent. Fourth, you have to know that your own stadium can and will turn on you if things go south. And last, you have the impossible task of creating stability in a place that just became, for the first time in a generation, unstable. It is one of the toughest jobs in the league right now. And really, this whole thing makes you wonder about something much bigger, something that goes way beyond just the Steelers. In today's world, with social media, 24/7 sports radio, and fans being more connected than ever, who's really in charge of the team? Is it the owner signing the checks, the GM building the roster, the head coach leading the team? Or is it the loud, collective voice of the fans who have just proven they can be the catalyst for massive change? It's a question every single team has to be thinking about now. But that's just my breakdown of it. I really want to hear from you guys. Was it the right time for a change in Pittsburgh? Were the fans right to be so frustrated? Or did a great coach get unfairly pushed out the door? Drop your take in the comments below. And hey, if you got something out of this explainer, please hit that subscribe button for NFL Nexus so you don't miss the next one. And finally, just a huge thank you for watching. If you want a fun way to support what we're doing here on the channel, you can check out our brand new NFL-themed coloring books. They're seriously perfect for fans of any age, for your kids, your grandkids, or even for yourself to unwind during a stressful fourth quarter. You can find them by clicking the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on your screen right now. Thanks again for tuning in to NFL Nexus. We'll see you next time.